All right, we don't have time for that. We're going to keep moving. It's illegal shift. It's the only sports show in America that doesn't talk down to you. I'm Jason Kiefer. I'm joined as always by the real Jason Kiefer. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. You're fucking on one today. I love it.
Well, you said you wanted to keep it moving, so we're going to keep it moving today. How have you been the whole week since I last saw you?
Good. Hanging in there. Same old, same old. Rinse, wash, repeat. Go to work, come home.
Doing any cool fire shit?
No. Absolutely zero cool fire shit.
Save any cool lives?
No. Did not.
Just
I took our frequent flyer with chest pains multiple times to the hospital over the last week.
okay. At least I can understand
That's
that.
normal.
Did you ever figure out what that weird smell is?
It was coming from the under the seat of the fire truck.
Oh, that's not good.
I can't tell you what it was though.
Was it a ham sandwich?
Maybe.
Was it a severed hand?
It was actually pickle loaf.
You know, you're the second person to mention pickle loaf to me today, and I've only been awake for 20 minutes.
Today? Are you shitting me?
Yeah, pickle loaf.
It's the grossest thing ever.
Does it have like dried beef in it and stuff, or what?
It's got like a whole bunch of chunks of shit in it. I don't even know what it is. I won't eat it. I never have eaten it.
Chunks is definitely the way it's been described to me. All right, folks, the show's brought to you by GhostBed. Go to ghostbed.com, use the offer code Wolfpack. You can save up to 40% on everything that they have there, adjustable frames, mattresses, everything that's designed to give you the best possible night's sleep if you're a busy first responder, if you're trying to respond to houses on fire or people with constant chest pain, and it smells weird in your truck and you're stressed out, you probably need to go home at night and sleep in a ghost bed. Go over there, use the offer code Wolfpack. That's how you let them know that you like what we're doing. And then they send us a USAID style kickback to us to keep us going. So please go over to excuse me, I'm just had a thing there. The government just texted me, stop it. But please go over to ghostbed.com, use the offer code Wolfpack. We appreciate them for always supporting us from the very beginning. Also, Cotman Transmission and Total Auto Care in Cincinnati. You're going to want to go over there for your total auto diagnostic and inspection, auto fluids, filters, maintenance, batteries, electrical system repair, complete engine repair, maintenance, repairs, HVAC stuff. Cotman Transmission and Total Auto Care is here. If you're looking for a 21-point inspection or service that comes with pickup, then you've come to the right place. Transmission repair for car owners, and so do all the other auto services. Not only give you a smooth ride, but they also keep you and everyone else safe. Contact our shop today if you need help or transmission services in Cincinnati, Ohio. They were established in 1962. You're here with quality services, a great experience, and professionals. Cotman is still the man for everything you need in your auto repair. So go if you need your transmission repaired in Cincinnati. That's the place to go.
How in the hell did you just Google transmission places in Cincinnati?
They paid me money to read that. I don't know why you don't understand how the advertisement business works when we are completely supported by them. Guys, the Super Bowl sucks. Nobody's happy about it. Ticket prices have been falling. This is our main story of the day. This from Yahoo Sports. Ticket bowl prices are sliding despite the Chiefs going for a three-peat, history having the chance to be made at the cusp of history. That's where we stand. Also, President Trump is going, which is kind of a big deal. From New Orleans, Super Bowl tickets will be cheap, but this week they're certainly cheaper. It's a trend that hasn't been since Super Bowl LII. I think that's 53. That featured the February 2019 matchup between the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams in Atlanta. I think that was a terrible Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The early week get-in price for the cheapest seats available is threatening to fall below $4,000 a chair. The get-in price represents the cheapest available tickets on the secondary market. According to market data from Ticket IQ, tickets pricing for the rematch between the Chiefs and the Eagles at the Caesars Superdome continues to dramatically drop. As of late afternoon yesterday, a foursome of upper bowl seat tickets were available for just over $4,000 a piece. It's an early surprise for a game that will feature two pieces of history. The Chiefs going for an unprecedented third straight Super Bowl win in the post-merger era. Well, you know, there were only 4 Super Bowls played before the merger, so, you know, it would be almost impossible to do that. So anyway, In the first instance of sitting U.S. president attending a Super Bowl. I didn't know it was the first time that it ever happened. The U.S. Secret Service announced Tuesday that Donald Trump will be attending Sunday's game, noting the presence of agents in New Orleans over the past week. Extensive planning and coordination has been in place to ensure the safety of all attendees, the players, and staff. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Giuliani said on Tuesday, secret measures have been further enhanced this year, given that this will be the first time a sitting president of the United States will attend the event. This is amazing. Yesterday, he said, if Iran tries to kill me, I will obliterate that state. Did you hear him say that?
I saw it late last night. I have left. Essentially, it was like a goodbye note.
Kills me, or to destroy them completely. Like, do we have to do what you say after you die? I mean, we're looking for an excuse to start some shit up over there
Right.
in Iran. But I thought it was amazing.
That's interesting to me. That's the first time a sitting president has been to the Super Bowl. It's a weird.
Do you think he's an Eagles fan? Because that would undo a lot of Trump love for me.
I think he's going to be fair and impartial.
He'll be fair and impartial. Yeah, okay. He's going to be fair and impartial. He's talking about expatriating criminals last night as well, which is expressly forbidden by the Constitution. He also fired some inspectors general without giving 30-day notice, but he's going to be completely fair and impartial to the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Chiefs can't even get fair and impartial from the NFL. They're not going to get
the referees.
Yeah. Thus far, the news of Trump's attendance and the Chiefs' reach for the three-peat history hasn't provided a boost to Super Bowl ticket pricing. I can tell you why. It's because people are fucking sick of it. You call it a three-peat? You think that that's interesting to anyone who wants to watch a football game? No, it's only interesting to people like me whose only chance for getting laid is winning bar trivia. That's it. And then having a new piece of bar trivia, which isn't even ever going to ever be, a weird piece of trivia. Everyone's going to know it's the Chiefs. So it's like, there's really nothing interesting going on here. Ticket prices have continued to see a staggering drop from the conference title games into this week, down more than 35% in the previous 9 days. As of Tuesday, Ticket IQ also showed an average ticket price of $7,000, which is down 33% since the day after the AFC and NFC title games. You want to know why?
Why?
It's because nobody believes that this is a legitimate game. This is a stolen game. Just like the stolen election. Nobody believes in it. Nobody has any faith in it at all.
When you say stolen game, no, expound on that.
I will.
I will.
I'm just looking for the exact part of this article that says it, so I don't have to just say it all myself. I'll get to it a little bit, but and I think I even have an article that's on this, but it's about, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Rodger Goodell and then the chief of NFL officiating says that these scurrilous accusations of a conspiracy hurt their feelings. And I'm just like, you realize more people believe that you've handed the Chiefs wins this season than have faith in the FBI. Like, there's literally, the FBI is at a crisis of confidence, but we believe even less in you. We would rather have the FBI officiate these games than you. That's how bad this is. We think we could get a more fair shake from someone who was persecuting the president. And they just keep coming out and talking about it. And the fact that single thing you see on social media from CBS Sports and anything else that I follow constantly is trying to put out this narrative that the idea that the statistics show that the Chiefs just have not been getting favorable treatment, when you can tease anything you want with numbers saying, oh, well, they only received this many. But we know that the numbers don't tell the entire story. Yep. Numbers, Mark Twain said it best, Keith. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. The statistics are there trying to cover it up, and it's not to save face, right? It's not to make it seem like, well, no, we're fair, we're a real league, we're a real sports league, we're not an entertainment league. It's to prevent this exact same thing. What's exactly happening right now. Ticket prices, and I'm guessing revenue prices, are the cost for 30 seconds of a commercial during the Super Bowl, when it's not going to be the most watched Super Bowl of all time. Every Super Bowl, as far as I know, has been the most watched of all time. People are sick of this because we're sick of the Eagles, we're sick of the Chiefs, and we're sick of the bullshit calls. And so they've been trying to get two hands on the wheel of this, trying to explain to America, no, this is not fixed. We're not all in for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, which are huge economic engines. If you think it's just about like appealing to the teenagers, you're wrong. It's about having association with one of the most powerful movers and shakers in the entertainment industry and tying that her success to the NFL's success. So many people are going to watch, just hoping to see Taylor Swift, cheering on every time Travis Kelce, gets a penalty called in his favor or something.
Well, with what you said with Goodell and that, like anytime anybody of stature, I mean, you and I don't fucking matter. They don't give a shit about us as long as they're getting our money, whether it's, NFL apparel or whatever. But anytime somebody brings that out, they get butthurt saying that, that the refs are rigged and all this shit. But the proof is in the pudding. I mean, there's blatant fucking evidence. And we've talked about it many times on this show. The fact that you need to make the fucking refs full-time, hold them accountable, fine them just like you fine players. But anytime you bring any of that up, we're the crazy ones.
We're the conspiracy theorists, which we're used to being on this side. But what's funny is that they were also releasing other interesting statistics throughout the season. They didn't realize the implication of it. Oh, do you realize that the Chiefs, have the lowest point differential since 1933 or whatever? They're the number one team in the AFC, but they've had the lowest point differential. I'm like, oh, so they're not scoring a lot of points, but they're winning games by small margins. Okay, so if they're not generally having huge point differentials out of even meager opponents, what does that tell you? It means that the refs are just pushing them along to win in every game.
1 + 1 = 2, where I came from. I mean,
if they're just gently outscoring all of these other teams, it means that they're competing. Certainly, there's some parity there, but what's giving them the winning edge? It's not their huge point differentials in any of these games. And you have to remember, they're playing teams in the AFC that genuinely suck, that should be helping their overall point differential, but it's not there. Mm-hmm. So they're getting some kind of edge from something. The game's also a rematch from the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. The Chiefs won 38-35. It's creates a scenario of tapping the same two fan bases in a short period of time. Generally, brokers are not fond of rematches that haven't seen a significant amount of time elapse between games, unless it features teams of strong nationwide fan bases, which, of course, we know neither of these teams is America's team. The Chiefs and Eagles historically have featured neither. It's because both teams fucking suck historically. There's a Chiefs hangover. Kansas City fans have seen their franchise in 5 of the past 6 Super Bowls, repeatedly drawing financially on the same fan base. Means they're all tapped out. They paid for all the Super Bowls already. This week, this was often the lament of ticket brokers late in the New England Patriots Super Bowl dynasty. Its general NFL fan base is tired of seeing the same team in the title game over and over. And the Patriots fan base seemed to be becoming less and less fervent about invading every Super Bowl. Even with the Chiefs going for a piece of history, some brokers theorize that relatively young age of a quarterback like Mahomes has added to a general feeling of Super Bowl opportunities on the table beyond this one. They feel like there's going to be more Super Bowls after this. There was also a complaint during the Patriots dynasty until late in Tom Brady's career when the brokers could sell the last chance to see the Tom Brady and the Super Bowl narrative, because he just kept fucking coming back. Even after he retired, he came back. Forbes says that ticket prices have plummeted 58% in a week, indicating the championship game between Kansas City and Philadelphia will not be the priciest in history. StubHub has his tickets currently range from as low as $3,300, so even lower than what I just read you.
Which is funny because those are normally higher.
Yeah. It's just goes to show you that people don't necessarily have any belief in the officiating and the league, and that we're sick of the Chiefs and everyone fucking hates the Eagles. And there's something afoot. And I don't know, is it going to hurt the final product, the final numbers, the ratings, and all that? I don't know, because the Super Bowl has such broad appeal. But
if your Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, would you pay $35,000 or $4,000 for a seat?
I don't know. I probably would have overdosed on fentanyl before I could buy the tickets.
That's just so fucking steep. And with that being low, on the low end, I mean, it's just so steep. I mean, if the Bengals were in, I don't know that I would be able to pony up that dough.
To be honest with you, no, I would not be able to afford that. And also, like, I've been to several NFL games, and I have been there, and I've seen that, like, wow, you really do get a better viewing experience at home from like up here in the bleeder. So
right,
probably probably wouldn't do it. I did want to cover this. We'd mentioned it. NFL referee union calls allegations of bias towards the Chiefs insulting. He's insulted.
Insulting.
His feelings are hurt, Keith. This is from New Orleans. The head of the union representing NFL officials called allegations that officiating crews are biased in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs or any other team is insulting and preposterous. The NFL Referees Association Executive Director Scott Green released a statement on Tuesday, timely, thanking Rodger Goodell for dismissing the allegations and responding to conspiracy theories on social media about favoritism.
You don't even hide it. You don't even
hide it. But he's like, thank you for dispelling those myths. Rodger Goodell does not have it in with any fan. If Rodger Goodell's speaking, all of us are suddenly more suspicious.
Right.
It's like the FBI coming out and saying there's nothing to see here. It's like we know that there's something fucking going on when Goodell comes out. Commissioner Goodell comments that this is ridiculous to presume the NFL officials are not doing everything possible to make the right call on every play. They're not doing it on every play. They're doing it on the critical plays. Like when Josh Allen gets to the line to gain and they say no. That's not an every play thing. Like this. The refs are not doing this on every play. They're doing it on the important plays. They're doing it on the plays that matter. They can sit there and act normal most of the time, but when it comes down to a judgment call or not even a judgment call, did Josh Allen make the line to game or not? And that decision will hinge greatly on the Chiefs' chances of success. Statistically, you can see things like that. You watch analytics during the game. If the Bills, continue this drive here and they're not forced to punt, even scoring 3 points, it hands a huge margin over to the Chiefs in terms of the likelihood that they're going to win the game. These are hinges upon which the entire game swings. Huge changes in these few plays. It's not that they're doing it in every. No one's accusing the refs of doing this on every play. Give me a break.
Right.
Officiating crews do not work at the same team more than twice each regular season. That's not even true. We have Clay Martin over the past several seasons, I guess, but he's 7-0. You're going to tell me that the Chiefs are 7-0 as long as Clay Martin is their officiator. He's never been a part of a game in which they've lost. You're telling me Clay Martin's never seen the Kansas City Chiefs lose a game ever in the last 7 times? And it's not because they're always the best team. They've been good. I would believe 6-1. I would believe 5-2, but 7-0. Come on now. Right. It's insulting and preposterous. It's insulting. He's insulted. This millionaire's insulted, guys, to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews consisting of 138 officials are colluding to assist one team. They're not colluding. When you get them all together, you tell them. And this doesn't even have to be like a mass email. It doesn't have to be anything that you're telling them all in one place, but it can also be things can be tacitly understood. People can understand that they're more likely to be higher rated or get good grades from you, or they're getting smiles from you or happier emails or better evals from you whenever the Chiefs are winning. We know that the NFL is about money. We know that the Chiefs are where money's at right now in terms of endorsements, popularity. Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. We know that that's where the money's at. We know that there's sort of a post-Tom Brady, post-Aaron Rodgers search for the man. And the man is Patrick Mahomes, whether we like it or not. And that's where the money's at. And that's what you're pursuing. And you like the narrative of the Chiefs going for the three-peat. Your finger's on the scale because it means big money to you. And it's blowing up in your face. Fans are saying, no, we don't like this because we can see it. We can see when you're making these changes to the outcome of a game. We know unfairness. Americans are the middle children of history. We know when something's unfair. We see you putting your finger on the scale. And now you're coming out here right before the Super Bowl when the ticket prices are dropping. And you think this is insulting to me. And an era in which we just got over caring about whether or not people were offended, I'm afraid, Scott Green, that your narrative of being insulted is a little bit too late. I'm not impressed by it.
I don't know who 13 seconds is in the chat, but he goes, I need a massage.
We all need a massage, but not like a Justin Tucker style massage. But anyway,
that's a Rub and Tucker.
Yes, I'm glad that you already have the lingo down. A handful of high-profile calls in the playoffs that have gone to Kansas City favor have fueled the theories of favoritism, with Houston getting penalized at 2 illegal hits on Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round. let's not forget week 16. That was also a fucking joke that was totally against the Houston Texans and Josh Allen being ruled just short of converting a 4th-and-1 sneak in Kansas City's 32-29 victory over Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. But a deeper look at the penalties shows no sign of systemic bias. Oh, here we go. KGET, they're on the take as well. The Chiefs have been penalized for 120 more yards than their opponents in the regular season and playoffs since the start of the 2022 playoffs. So they've been getting penalties in the playoffs in the last 2 years. Okay. Kansas City has also benefited from 10 fewer first downs by penalty or third or fourth. And that span has only been a small edge at penalty yard differential in fourth quarter overtime and close games. Again, you don't need to look at the big picture. You need to just look at those few things you mentioned. Whether or not Buffalo had the right to win the AFC Championship game this year, whether or not they stood a chance. You took away the chances from them. You put a finger on the scale. I'm not saying you're handing the games to them. You're not doing that. But you do have a finger on the scale, and teams are commenting on it. The Houston Texans, when they lost that game, we had players going out. We had the coach on the verge of saying it, that we knew calls were not going to come in our favor. It was the same thing for Buffalo. They said we're not going to get calls in our favor. Everyone else is out there and they're talking about it. And you ask, of course, you ask Andy Reid, you ask the head of operations for the Kansas City Chiefs, you ask Patrick Mahomes, and he goes like, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, why the fuck would they know what they were talking about? There's no reason for anyone in Kansas City to be like, yeah, this does seem suspicious. So of course that's not what's happening as far as Kansas City.
What's his name? Was it Clark Hunt? Is that the Clark Hunt?
Yeah.
That fucking guy. I saw 3 different articles of him in different ways saying that everybody else is wrong. Really? Everybody is pointing at that.
Like I said, something like 71% of people who watch football are saying that something is amiss here. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark, but that's okay. I mean, it means, how much wealthier have the Chiefs become in the last, since Patrick Mahomes took over, but in the last 6 years, how much more money has been added to the brand of the Kansas City Chiefs? They used to be a nothing team that you saw every Sunday at a noon game or a 1 p.m. game. And they're just, they're playing Jacksonville, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Who's on the other channel? That's who the Kansas City Chiefs were. For my entire life, nobody gave a fuck about the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to talk about Chiefs greatness? You're going all the way back to the 60s, back when they were playing in the AFL. Since the merger, they haven't really been much of anything. But now look at how much bigger they are since the Mahomes era, the Andy Reid era. Money is driving all of this. And so there's no reason for the Chiefs to comment on that at any point. And the money that comes into the Chiefs is also good for the NFL because everything that's happening for the Chiefs is increasing their reach and their appeal from outside of standard quarters of where NFL fans are. If you look at Rodger Goodell and his entire career as commissioner, he's trying to make the NFL, I don't know, some sort of global Illuminati thing. I mean, we're having games in Munich. We're having games played in Venezuela. We're probably going to have a game played in China before too long. And I know that you think that I'm joking, but baseball's first game again this year will be played in Tokyo. So you just never know.
Yeah.
When that's going to happen, that someday the NFL goes global in an obscene direction. Someday, I guarantee you, if Rodger Goodell is left unchecked, the Super Bowl will be played in Europe or on somewhere other than America. If Rodger Goodell is left to his own devices, he's a supervillain. He's the Jeff Bezos or the Ernst Stavro Blofeld of the NFL world. He's not to be trusted. Whenever Rodger Goodell comes out and defends a point, you should begin to think critically immediately.
So the 2023 season, the Chiefs are worth $4.85 billion. Okay. So I'm trying to look that up while you were talking.
That's okay. How much were they worth in, say, 2015? Alex Smith era.
That's what I was going to go 18, but yeah, 15 is better.
I'll start talking about Justin Tuck while you look that up. Justin Tucker, who's not the same guy as Justin Tuck, just so we all know. Totally different guy, although I don't like Justin Tuck. Anyway, this is from Outkick, which is a website that's just about kicking. I don't know what to tell you. Justin Tucker faces more accusations of inappropriate conduct at massage parlors. Did we not learn anything from Deshaun Watson, one of the most hated men in the NFL? He doesn't have the money and the power to be like Robert Kraft and make it go away. Go ahead, Keith.
NFL team values. This is from Forbes, 2015. The Kansas City Chiefs were worth $1.53 billion.
1.53 billion. And so what? They've quadrupled
to 4.85.
They've quadrupled their value in the Patrick Mahomes era, guys. That's how much money we're talking about. The Kansas City Chiefs are now worth 4 times as much in the last 10 years. That's why there's a finger on the scale, because all that money that's coming into the Chiefs is now a part of the league.
Jill in the chat says Rodger Goodell probably personally set Travis Kelce up with Taylor for ratings and merch sales.
I don't think there's love in that relationship. I think it's 100% cynical. I think that there's people who are agents in the NFL who also represent people in the entertainment industry. If you've never seen that episode of The Simpsons in which Troy McClure is his movie career is over, and Jeff Goldblum plays his agent, and he says, what would help get you back on track? If you just had a girlfriend, and he starts dating Marge's sister Selma, and all of a sudden he's getting movie deals again. This is as cynical and as real as the entertainment industry is. If you make key connections between key people in entertainment, in this case Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, this is a marriage built of huge proportions that's designed to get everybody paid. There's no love in their relationship. Let's not be so cynical. I'm not even sure that Taylor Swift is even capable of love, let alone Travis Kelce. This is 100% about. We'll do a breakdown of that on the off season about how they don't really love each other. We'll actually compile evidence. It's like we're going to charge them in court of not being in love. Their lovemaking is all just swearing and spitting. Anyway,
swearing and spitting, and then songwriting after.
This looked like love to you, Keith. Anyway, Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker is facing 3 additional accusations from massage therapists for inappropriate behavior. Let's put a pause to this right now. And I know that you hate Ben Roethlisberger, but let's talk about Matt Araiza. We did a whole episode on Matt Araiza. He was the punter for the Buffalo Bills, wrongly accused of inappropriate behavior when he was at Arizona State, I believe. I think it was Arizona State.
I believe so.
Wrongly accused of inappropriate behavior, Matt Araiza said, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Everything that happened was consensual, and they're telling lies about me. And Matt Araiza was eventually vindicated. And Matt Araiza is the punter for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I just want you to remember that just because you're accused of something, it doesn't mean you did it. Okay. There's Deshaun Watson. There's Robert Kraft. And then there's Matt Araiza. So before we get into it any deeper, we just want
San Diego State. Sorry.
San Diego. I'm sorry.
No, I couldn't remember either. Just want to go back.
I knew it was kind of that lower left portion of the map. I couldn't remember what it was. San Diego.
It was a state.
San Diego. So anyway.
So
just to remember that accusations do not mean that he did it. And if you're a man, you should be especially wary of this, because any man at any time can be accused of anything. And in the Me Too movement, where we believe all victims, you could suddenly find your life falling apart and being destroyed by a mere accusation. So let's be careful. I'm not going to not look at evidence, but I want to be fair and impartial before we start talking about Justin Tucker, that these are accusations. So far, we've seen no charges. We've seen no evidence. You have to remember that NFL players have a lot of money. Justin Tucker is not a low-profile player. If you know anything about football, you know he's one of the greatest kickers of all time, if not the greatest kicker of all time. I still like Tom Dempsey with half a foot, but when it comes to a guy with 2 complete feet,
that's my man.
Justin Tucker might be the guy that could do it. And I'm not even a Ravens fan. But people know who he is. People know he has a lot of money. He has a lot of fame. He's getting close to retirement. He had a bad season this year. But these accusations do not mean that he did anything. All right. Tucker previously was accused of alleged, again, everything's alleged, sexually inappropriate conduct by 6 massage therapists. The Baltimore Banner, which is not as important as the Baltimore Sun, reported that it has now spoken with 9 massage therapists at several spas in the Baltimore area who shared alleged misbehavior from Tucker, mostly stretching from the mid-2010s. Do they have receipts? Anything that says that he was a client? Because why is he going around to all these different places? Or is there one place that has all these different massage therapists?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, is it?
You're going to tell me he's just hitting up all the places in Baltimore. And not only that, but if you're a reporter and you go into a massage therapist place and you say, you've been giving yanks to Justin Tucker, and they're like, I would love to be part of a class action suit. And I don't mean to be mean, but you know what? Baltimore's not a great city, not full of great people. And the people who give people massages are not, let's just say there's bad people everywhere. That might save me a little bit of grief. The new accusations were of a similar nature to the initial 6, with the banner reporting that one woman said Tucker allegedly stroked her inner thigh during massage and that she believed that allowed him to ejaculate on the table. So instead of doing a good criminal investigation where they go like, do you know who this person is? And showing a picture, an array of 6 people, and, having them being able to even identify Justin Tucker at all. And then, asking open-ended questions like, has there ever been any, inappropriate behavior in this massage parlor? They just go in there and like, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Justin Tucker's already been accused 6 times of sexually inappropriate behavior in massage parlors. You ever been in here with him and done anything like that? Yeah, he touched the inside of my thigh.
Exactly where you were exactly right.
I'm sorry, but the Baltimore Banner's investigative reporting is not exactly as ironclad here. It's not exactly as good as the Baltimore Police Department, I'm going to venture to say. In fact, if it were me, I would start a lawsuit against the Baltimore Banner right away, because he's going out there and they're essentially ginning up fake victims who are all going to join in a class action suit, who are all going to sue Justin Tucker, ruin the end of his career. And suppose even one of these is true. Suppose Justin Tucker is kind of a bad guy and something's happened. It doesn't necessarily mean that all 9 of them are true.
Right. If he is exonerated, you can wait for the lawsuits, because those lawsuits are going to be plentiful.
The lawsuits are going to happen either way.
This could fuck with his Hall of Fame, induction, because he's going to go. I mean, he's definitely going to go. And if this is unfounded,
based on his talents alone, he should go. But here's the thing: is that 2 things can be true. He could be guilty of doing something that's inappropriate in one instance, but not all of these instances. It's also possible that all of this could be unfounded, and what we see is a tidal wave going against a man. We've seen that in other places in the world. It's not uncommon. This is simple human behavior that we could find in many other realms of life, that once someone's accused, that many other people pile on. It used to be the case that one person would point to a woman and say, you're a witch. And all of a sudden, all the good upstanding men in that community would point to her and say, you're a witch, or you're a communist, or you're a communist. But now being a racist or Islamophobe or a homophobe or a transphobe, all of a sudden, if you make a comment, you can get canceled. We've been canceling people for a long time in this country. And, if there's consequences for him having done something wrong to a woman, okay. But so far, I haven't actually seen any of that evidence. Also,
did Deshaun Watson, he just paid out? He just settled it.
He might have known. He might have not been able to clear those hurdles. So he paid out. But
I couldn't remember.
I also want to explain something for the general audience, is that when you get sued, okay, you're going before a civil court. It's a lawsuit. It's not the same thing as criminal court. You're not facing jail time. So the judge or the jury that's sitting on that, they only have to consider it. It's a little bit more likely than not that you did this. In other words, 50% plus 1 or 51% or 50.1% or whatever is just over half, so that it's more likely that you did this to get a judgment against you in a civil court. In a criminal court of law that says you behaved in a sexually assaultive manner, there has to be guilt established beyond the shadow of a doubt, and that is on the prosecutor to prove. They have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt and convince a jury that happened. That is a much higher standard. Most of these cases that go against these NFL players do not go to a criminal court. And it's because these people, these women, they don't even need it or want it to go to that standard. They're after the money. They don't care about Justin Tucker possibly going and getting any jail time. Maybe some of them are radicalized to believe that maybe that's a good idea, but they want the money, and they know that all they have to do is get to the point where they can get in front of a judge and a jury for 50% plus 1, and they're willing to settle. They're willing to send half of that money to their lawyers, and they're still going to come out of that with a huge bankroll, a huge windfall. So I don't know if Justin Tucker did anything or not. All I know is that he's in a position of being hugely a disadvantage. He's hugely disadvantaged in this. I've read books too. There's a book called Men of Sunday. It's about guys who are Christian in the NFL. And I think it was Mike Singletary, but he wrote a story about how he would play for the Chicago Bears back in the 80s. And he would come back from a game or practice or OTAs or whatever. He would come back to his hotel, and a woman had broken in through the window and offered to sleep with him. This is because she wanted him to say yes, so that for the rest of her life, she would be receiving child support payments. If she could get knocked up and have that financial tie to Mike Singletary, she knew that it was going to take care of her the rest of her life. If you think that women aren't this way, it came out this week that there was a woman who was contacting EBT and trying to get her benefits to continue for another month. She sends a picture of her driver's license to them. She's got a full manicure. She's got her nails all done up. She's got her legs crossed. She's in front of the pool and talking about how she hasn't been able to find any work in the past month. So that's a certain class of women. We used to call them gold diggers. I guess I don't know if we're allowed to call them that anymore, but those women are out there. I understand that Justin Tucker is an important client to the QG, which I'm not sure what that is, but as an employee of the QG who has tolerated the previous interactions with him, I no longer feel safe or comfortable working with him, the letter says. I don't feel safe anymore. Allegations against Tucker expand. 2 spas reportedly banned Tucker from returning after he allegedly exposed his genitals to several treatments from 2012 to 2016. So this has been going on since 2012. How come the allegations are only coming out now?
Why now? And that's my question. Why all of a sudden now?
If he showed his genitals to some woman in 2012, it's 2025. This is 13 years later.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you were offended and it bothered you, you should have said something.
Say something about it the day of. Call the cops. You're like, dude, there's some guy in here that just showed me his junk.
Yeah. It's fucking
you can do that the same day. You can call the non-emergency number. You can call 911 if you want, but don't wait 13 years. Right. Attorneys for Tucker's responded to the new reporting by pointing back to the statement posted on X. The statement, he said, he did not act inappropriately at any point before, during, or after a professional bodywork treatment session. It also describes the reports as a desperate tabloid fodder, which I'm believing more and more. Tucker also said that the banner has been deliberately misconstruing events as nefarious and relying on third-party speculation to create the false preconceived narrative about me, and they believed would generate clicks. That's something else too. Is you want to talk about money?
Yeah, we're in
everything's clickbait, and I would know this entire show is clickbait.
Yeah.
It cannot be any clearer, the statement says. These accusations are false and incredibly hurtful to both me and, more importantly, my family. Can you imagine being his wife? And suppose you know Justin Tucker better than anyone else on earth, and you know he's a good man. And then all this stuff comes out. How heartbreaking and troubling that has to be. The Ravens have said they take any allegations of this nature seriously and will continue to monitor the situation. The NFL has also acknowledged the allegations and said it will look into the matter. Great, the NFL's on it. The most fair and just organization since the mob. They're working on it.
It's another 3-letter agency that's very transparent.
Yeah, The Tucker signed a 4-year extension with the Ravens in 2022, so he's there for another season. $24 million, a great kicker. But what I care more about is seeing a good human being dragged through the mud if he's not supposed to be. I don't want to see that. We got to keep it moving though, Keith. Let's talk about. You want to talk about Cooper Kupp, or you want to keep going?
We can talk about whatever you want, buddy.
There's not enough time. There's so much. The Rams are planning a big trade. Here's how Puka Nacua reacted to that. At one point, by the way, I don't know if you know who Cooper Kupp is. Not you, Keith, but you know the world out there. Big time GOAT. Really, really good receiver. Looked really good. He was kind of the top of the NFL. The Los Angeles Rams are planning to move on from one of their star wide receivers this offseason. The former BYU Cougar Puka Nacua is a bit thrown off by the news. That's why this comes from Deseret News. This is what the Mormons think about it. This is why they asked Puka Nacua. So I thought it was just the NBA trade season. Nacua wrote on X late Monday afternoon, alluding to major trades that have shaken up the NBA over the past few days. We'll discuss that if we have time. Nakua's post came after teammate Cooper Kupp announced on social media that he'd been informed by the Rams of the team's intent to trade him away. I was informed that the team will be seeking trade immediately, and I'll be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision. Wow.
He doesn't want to go.
And always believed it was going to begin and end in Los Angeles.
That's sad. That's sad when you have that vision and the team goes, we're gonna.
Yeah, that we don't even want you. It's
and he's
just,
good.
Yeah, he is a good player. And do you think that is this a financial decision, or do you think it's just because he's been injured a lot, or what do you think's going on here?
I don't know what his salary is. I'm looking it up right now. I mean, I think it would have to be financial, I would assume, because even though he was hurt, he still produced when he came back. You know what I mean? So I think it's a business decision. It's money, but it just sucks when you have a player that wants to stay with a team. Where we see it all the time. Where I think we're going to get into it, but Myles Garrett wants to fuck out of Cleveland, which everybody should, but he wants to leave. This player wants to stay, and they're like, I don't think so.
He was very open and honest with me and where I could improve, so it was a huge blessing. Puka Nacua said, I guess he's sad about his teammate leaving. It's a big shock, but, maybe he could wind up on the Cowboys or something, which, couldn't hurt us, I guess.
Rams would save $7.5 million in cap space if they cut him after this season, and $19.9 million if they cut him before the start of the 26.
There you go. It's because of everything they did to build up that team financially to put together the dollar sign Avengers a few years ago. They're having to deal with that now.
Sons of bitches.
Yes, it affected you most of all. They formed up and made a super team just in time to stop the Bengals, and then they dissipated. So there you go.
That's so true.
You mentioned Myles Garrett. Cleveland Browns should honor Myles Garrett trade request and let him take his fans with him. He said that he didn't want to be in Ohio. He said that he wanted to win. And I thought it was a very interesting statement. He said that he didn't want to just go from Cleveland to Canton, that he's always wanted to do more than that. He says, "Well, I've loved calling the city my home. My desire to win and to compete in the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete and win a Super Bowl." So Myles Garrett, a tremendous player there. He's asking to be let go. It's bad news for Cleveland because I think Myles Garrett, I think we can all agree, is easily their best player. He's also going to be headed towards the Hall of Fame unless he grabs some lady in a massage parlor, which I feel like you should probably just stop getting massages from women. I hate to say this, and it's not like you can't get accused by a man, but it's just like, first of all, get your massages from a dude. But also, you know what? Bring your wife with you. I know you can't possibly, go to all your workouts and have your wife, take a break from her life to be there. But it doesn't have to be your wife, but your best friend, your agent, one or two other people who are there with you. And I know it seems like a huge pain and who should have to live this way, but like having someone there for you, with you, that can vouch for the fact that you didn't ejaculate on the table 13 years ago would be huge. It would save you a whole bunch of grief. And I know that Mike Pence used to take kind of heat, for saying that he didn't even have business dinners with female associates because of the way that it was with his faith or whatever with his marriage. And we all kind of rolled our eyes at that. But like, he also would save himself from any kind of instance like this. So that was a smart thing to do. And I think NFL players, who often don't have a lot of intelligence or wisdom to make good decisions, not realizing how much people want to go after them, they don't realize, like, hey man, maybe you've got to have someone that you just pay to be your alibi. And I don't mean like to pay to lie, but have people who are there in your life just to make sure that you stay out of trouble, to keep you clean, but also to keep other people from making scurrilous accusations against you. And it doesn't matter. Like 13 years later, you can still find yourself in trouble. Unfathomable. Some basketball shit happened. Do you even know how to pronounce this guy's name?
Luka.
Luka what?
We're
a bad sports show if we don't know how to pronounce his last name, right?
Dude, look at it. I mean, Djokovic. I don't know. I don't pay attention to fucking basketball either.
It's Doncic, maybe.
Doncic. I don't know.
Doncic, but sometimes you see the little curly thing on there.
I'm trying to find that article you sent.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it. It doesn't say how to pronounce it, but so lots of players in the NFL have been reacting to this. They don't understand this trade. I saw Louisiana Senator John Kennedy saying he didn't get it. Basketball.
There it is. Hold on. Yeah, Luka Doncic.
Doncic.
Doncic. That sounds better. That sounds better what I'm doing.
They just call him Luka, don't they?
Yeah. Nobody says his last name. That's why I just said Luka.
On the morning of Jan 7, Dallas Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison invited Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka to the Ascension Coffee and lobby in the Hotel Crescent Court, just a half mile from American Airlines Center, to begin similar arduous, delicate trade conversations that would jolt the rest of the NBA. They traded this guy, and nobody gets it. Basketball.
Even across all sports, everyone's like, "What in the hell just happened?"
Yeah. Imagine me just finding out he existed.
Definitely not an NBA follower, but it was all over the headlines, and it did not make sense because he's a very good player, and with what they're doing, it just again, you just got to kind of throw your hands up like.
They tried to make it make sense. They tried to make it make sense to me. And they're like, well, here's what the NFL equivalent of that would be. It would be like Dak Prescott and a second-round pick and a third-round pick and a running back and a cornerback all go to the Bengals for Joe Burrow.
Right. I mean, it's essentially, it's a good way to equate it.
I don't know. I don't understand. All I know is that everyone sees it as a preposterous move, but maybe they'll have the last laugh. Speaking of not laughing at all, the Pro Bowl hits record low as NFL struggles to find successful format. Sunday's audience declined 18% from last year's game. The thing is it's not a game. They don't play the Pro Bowl the way they used to. Now it's like a flag football game, which is like, should send a clear message to Rodger Goodell that we don't want flag football. The NFL has a flag football division now. They even have like a gay flag football division, which is not a joke. And I hope that the shifting paradigm or the shifting consciousness or zeitgeist of the moment sends a message to the NFL that, like, you know what we want from the Pro Bowl? As much as we showed ingratitude for it over the years, we actually do want a football game to happen. There's no point in, like, particularly when you make it a skills competition that lasts throughout the week, which is fun for everyone that attends it. And it's not even in Hawaii anymore. I don't even know where they were holding it this year because I wasn't paying attention to it. Orlando. They put it there because they know no one will go anywhere else just for the Pro Bowl games. They're like, oh, you can go to Orlando. You can go to Disney while you're there. You can go to Universal Studios while you're there. And you can go to the Pro Bowl while you're there. And the beach, I guess. But this year's Pro Bowl or Pro Bowl games, as now they're officially called, averaged just 4.7 million viewers across ABC, ESPN, and Disney XD. And how many of those are just Buffalo Wild Wings locations? The lowest audience ever for the game, excluding the COVID year. It's an 18% decline from last year and a nearly a 30% decline from 2 years ago, the first year of the new format. Beginning in 2023, the NFL shifted the format of its Pro Bowl from its traditional tackle football game with pads and helmets to a flag football game with ancillary skills competition like tug of war and kicking contests. That's right. We just hate to go to our child's field day at their grade school, but now we want to watch Cooper Kupp and
grown men.
CeeDee Lamb play tug of war.
Back in the day, I loved how it was back in the day. I did like the skills, but it was like 1 or 2 days, and then you had the game. Like that led up. Like it kind of built you up. But I mean, some of the bullshit that they were doing, I didn't watch most of it, but like I'd click over, see what it was, and then click off, and so I'm part of those numbers that didn't pay attention. But the flag football is just an absolute joke. 76-63.
Well, this final score of even the tackle football games would be heavily one-sided just because, the way that it is. But aside from baseball leagues have struggled to maintain interest in their respective all-star games, the NFL's Pro Bowl has now had 7 consecutive years of declining audience if you take out the COVID year. The NBA hasn't eclipsed the 7 million viewer threshold since 2020. NHL is even holding the All-Star game this year, instead canceling the competition in favor of the Four Nations Face-Off tournament that will help preview NFL players' return to the Olympics in 2026. Is there really much the leagues can do? Players have wisely begun valuing their health over a meaningless exhibition, not to mention many of the best players opt out of the Pro Bowl entirely. The fact that Drake May went to the Pro Bowl this year... And you know what? And there's a reason why you mentioned that. It's not just a shit on Drake May, but it used to be that your number of Pro Bowls was heavily part of your consideration for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
If you went to the Pro Bowl, that helped significantly boost your ability to get there because it said that the people in the industry, the people in the press, and the fans all loved you enough to put you in the Pro Bowl game. And you were competing against other players for coveted spots. There's only a certain number of players that can go to the Pro Bowl every year. But now it's like, nobody's going. I think J.J. Watt put it out in a tweet saying by the time Drake May, your fifth alternate, is playing in the Pro Bowl, you could just call it the Participation Bowl at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for the NFL, the league is in a position where Pro Bowl viewership doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But in a league like the NBA, where the All-Star viewership is often the most watched event of the regular season, it's something of a serious issue. Nevertheless, it's worth monitoring whether the NFL looks to reimagine the Pro Bowl again or simply accept that it's not the television draw that it once was. I used to really enjoy watching it.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. Like it used to be fun.
And we'll talk about how to improve it. By the way, every year I do a little bit on how to improve the Pro Bowl. There's an article here that I'm going to read from, and we'll see if they've stolen any of my great ideas. Why the Pro Bowl has lost its luster and why it should lose importance regarding players' legacies too. This is what I was just mentioning, how it is a part of their consideration for getting into the Hall of Fame. This year's Pro Bowl roster, what used to be an honor, are filled with questionable replacements. This is from CBS. The Pro Bowl has a credibility problem. The year's replacements list is nearly as long as the initial roster. Many of those replacements are going for legitimate, well-deserved reasons. The Chiefs and Eagles combined for 11 Pro Bowl selections, so that makes sense. We used to hold the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Many other selections are dealing with the bumps and bruises from a long season. Who am I to judge how someone else's body feels after several brutal months? Well, that's the other thing, too, is that we're extending the length of the season. When we're coming out after 18 games, it's more likely that you're going to be in rough shape.
Go hang out with Justin Tucker. You'll be fine.
If a week at the Pro Bowl games keeps you at track at home, it isn't how players want to spend their offseason, so be it. If it is, great, more power to them, but sincerely thank you for showing up. Where we run into issues in the replacements is the replacements to themselves. This week, Russell Wilson and Drake May were named replacements for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Both Allen and Jackson are dealing with minor injuries. Again, totally fine. Heal up and be ready for games that actually matter. But the fact is that so many players opt out of the games, which are really a bunch of skills competitions, including video games, which just makes me want to. Why are you having them play video games? They're athletes. Followed by flag football shows the event has lost its luster. The fact that May and Wilson as replacements show it's lost its credibility too. May and Wilson ranked 22nd and 23rd respectively in expected points added per dropback, and an all-encompassing stat that takes into account situations in sacks and rushing, two things passer ratings can't do. It's not perfect, but it provides a pretty good picture. Here's some players who were ahead of May and Wilson this year. Aiden O'Connell. Kirk Cousins. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco said no to the Pro Bowl this year. I can understand why he wouldn't. If he got hurt, like that would preclude any chance of returning in the fall. Somehow Justin Herbert, who finished 10th in EPA per dropback, was passed over as replacement in favor of May and Wilson. May did an encouraging job in one of the league's worst offensive ecosystems, but let's be real here. In no world was he better than Herbert. You could say Wilson has a nice bounce back year and made the playoffs, but the numbers show that he was a below average quarterback, including the playoff loss to the Ravens. Wilson went 6-6 as a starter. That doesn't exactly scream top AFC quarterback. We could go on here. I know you got a hard stop. Let's talk about how we could fix the Pro Bowl. This is from Fansided. I've talked about it before. Some of my ideas were, first of all, to put the Pro Bowl back on the other side of the Super Bowl, which is not, I mean, they moved it to in front of the Super Bowl to like take advantage of the fact that people still care about football. And after the Super Bowl's over, nobody cares about football anymore. Well, they don't care about the Pro Bowl now. They might care about it more if you put in some people who just played in the Super Bowl. Will they want to appear in the Pro Bowl? Maybe not, but they're already not doing it anyway. What
are you losing? What are you losing there?
You're not losing anything. I also want to see the AFC and the NFC separate. I don't want them to play any regular games during the season anymore. Now that we have 18 weeks, if you play your 3 division opponents twice, you can play every other team in your conference, and that fills out the rest of your schedule. Unless my math's off by 1 or something, like you can play all 3 of your divisional opponents and every other team in the NFC. And then you can say like, hey, when you get to the NFC Championship game, we literally beat, every other team, or we were better than every other team in our conference. Every year there's some teams, 4 teams, and 4 or 5, 6 teams that a NFC team has played that are AFC teams during the course of that season. The reason for that is the way the schedule works is that you play an entire division in the opposite conference, and then strength of schedule games you might play an AFC team here and there.
Does that go like? Isn't there like a is it a 5-year or 4-year rotation?
It's a 4-year rotation,
4-year
right?
rotation. That's what
Right. So this past year the Dallas Cowboys just played the AFC North. We played the Steelers, we played the Ravens, we played the Bengals, and we played the Browns this year. And next year it'll be a different AFC division that we will play. And for our strength of schedule, there might be an AFC team that kind of matches how well we did last year, and then we'll be paired to play up that game. And sometimes the NFL uses that strength of schedule game for to draw viewership. Like if we had a rival in the AFC that we could draw a lot of viewership for, like a lot of times you could call our AFC rival the Texans would maybe be the Cowboys AFC rival, or the Chiefs. Historically, it might be our rival. And so they might make it that, just depending on strength of schedule. But if you eliminate all those interconference games, now what you have is an actual rivalry, right? Okay, so we play one game, the Super Bowl, that's really just between these two teams, which is the best team. But which conference is really the best? And part of the reason why this has really gone away in people's consciousness is because you have to look back at the merger back to 1970. We had the NFL that had been there for 50 years. Since 1920, the NFL had its own identity. Then in 1960, the AFL was created. And it kind of had this XFL type energy where we're going to go for 2-point conversions, and we're going to have black people on every single team. They're going to do things the NFL's not going to do. Looking at you, Redskins, they did not have black players on their team. And the Redskins did not have any black players on their team in 1960. So the Redskins would look past talent if it was the wrong color. But the AFL couldn't do things like that because they needed talent. And all of a sudden, a draft war started. Players coming out of colleges like Alabama, Crimson Tide. You have this guy named Joe Namath who says, you know what, I'm going to go play for the AFL. I'm going to go play for this team called the New York Jets. I'm going to go play for the XFL. And so the AFL had kind of this own like upstart, young blood energy. You got to remember Joe Namath was very sexy. He was countercultural at the time. He wore pantyhose once. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway.
Big fur coats.
It created this different energy between your dad's NFL and your current young, exciting AFL. Problem is that we're now post-merger by 50, 60 years. No one really remembers the merger. As cultural identities, the AFC and the NFC really have no distinctive qualities. You look at the patch that the Chiefs wear on their chest that has the old AFL logo on it, and nobody even really looks at it or thinks about what it means.
Right.
And that's because we have the two conferences play each other. So I think that's one way that we can improve the significance of the Pro Bowl. You've also got to give it some stakes. I don't know if having these players play for significant money would work. I know that the XFL, when it came out in 2001, you had the $1 million game. And so that's what they would do to increase those things. But let's, since we have to stop here in about 3 minutes, let's talk about what this article says. Well, they want to move the Pro Bowl to mid-season to solve a lot of problems because the MLB, the NBA, and the NHL all use a mid-season model to do that.
See, I don't like that at all.
You don't like that?
No, because you have players. Let's just say the Cowboys are doing great. Somebody goes to the Pro Bowl, gets hurt. I always liked it after the season because you had time to recover if something were to happen. Since it happened to the Cincinnati Bengals, Tyler Eifert, who was a glass China doll anyway, he got hurt in the Pro Bowl and was out the whole next season. It's going to happen, but don't do it mid-season.
That would put it in about November if you give every other team like a bye week, and then you just kind of suppose you took the Pro Bowl games for what it is right now, where it's the skills competition. It's a kind of a laid back thing. It's not tackle football, but you had it in November. November's kind of the height of the football season. Like, suppose it's the week before Thanksgiving. Don't you think that the energy, the excitement for the All-Star game would be higher then?
If you're just on skills, yes. I thought we were talking about going back to like old school, like.
Well, I would love that too. I mean,
I just don't want it mid-season. I want it after the Super Bowl. But skills competition mid-season in November, no, I agree with that. That would be, yeah, you're in the height of the season. So yeah, I think you'd get a lot more traction.
I think that's one way that you could compromise between adding another bye week for all the teams in the NFL, extending the season. You would have the Super Bowl taking place on President's Day, which means everyone would have the day after the Super Bowl off of work. And then you would have this cool kind of everyone pause and take a break thing. I don't think it would be worse than what we have now, because what we have right now is everyone's burned out from the season. A lot of fans like me gave up on the Cowboys a long time ago. We're not even paying attention to it anymore. And so we're looking forward to the Super Bowl. This week we just can't even pay attention to the Pro Bowl because of it's just it's lost now. The drive and the energy and enthusiasm about the season is over for most people.
Right.
And the only thing left is to watch one more game that, as we talked about the entire episode, most people aren't excited for.
Which is garbage.
All right, guys. Wanted to thank everybody who watched the show today. So I don't have a chance to acknowledge all of you. Tyler here, Michael, Jenny was here. We saw some random person here before in the chats. Thanks for being here. I didn't get to read all of your stuff. Sorry, I don't know about basketball, guys.
Me neither. It's just that was a big contract.
I don't know who that Jenny's upset because I don't know who that guy is. Well, basketball is not really a real sport, though, so I don't have to pay attention to it for the purposes of this show. Larry Sports Talk. Larry, did we let you down? Were we good? Did we do a good job? Are we better than you? Would you like to come on the show? I don't know. All right, Keith, when's the next episode of One More and I'm out of here?
We are going Friday at 5 Eastern.
Friday at 5. We're going to learn more about everything that's going on in the world. I don't know. I have to say go Eagles, I guess, because they have the fewest number of Super Bowl wins in my division. They only have 1. This would take them to 2. Big fucking deal. I don't want the Chiefs to have the 3-peat. And so I literally, I might be puking the entire time every time that team in green does something good. I don't know.
I want Saquon Barkley to win a Super Bowl on his birthday. I do. Sorry.
I guess. Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. All right. All right, guys. Jonathan, you can clip that and send it to me. If me and not understanding the part where about the basketball thing or the part where I don't understand it and I don't need to know about it because it's not a real sport. It's not a real sport.
It's not.
I've said multiple times that over the history of civilization, we have evolution has defined a pure sport, and that sport.
There's more flopping in basketball than there is in soccer.
And I'm not saying the NFL football is the purest form of football. I'm just saying the football itself is the pure sport. Basketball, for God's sakes, the net's 10 feet off the ground. All the players are 8 feet tall. And the team that loses doesn't even die anymore. You realize when the Mayans invented basketball that the losing team had to die. That's what made it exciting. All right, guys, we're out. Kiefer's got to go. Water's on. Kiefer, good luck this week. I'll catch you back here next time.
All right, brother.
Bye.
I love you.
I'm not cheering on the Eagles now. Goodbye, everyone.
I love you, John.
I love you too.